Bears win by the exact same score that they won by right before the bye. And they have a 3-game win streak to talk about. The way the season started, losing that game in the fourth quarter to the Vikings, getting blown out in Detroit, and then you find a way to beat Dallas, and then you eke out that win in Vegas, and then you go back to work during the bye week, and you reestablish the run game. You get that thing going. Far from a perfect game, but, man, does it feel good to win football games.
Boy, it feels like a lifetime since that Detroit just thrashing, doesn't it? It feels like it was last year. Just so many good things. Look, you're right. It wasn't a thing of beauty. They're not all going to be Monets. But you don't ever apologize for wins, especially on the road in this league. And, for me, sometimes how you win or how you lose ultimately is not more important than the win or the loss, but it resonates with me. And how they won last night is they won at the line of scrimmage against a team that was coming into this game better than they were. They ran the ball for a boatload of yards against a good front. They stopped the league's number one rushing attack, held them to 4 yards per carry. So,
and the back's even lower because Jaden Daniels rushes for the yards to pop that up, but they did a really good job on their backs.
When was the last time you came out of the bye and you said, "Wow, it really feels like our coaching staff did some really good work in the off week"?
It's been a while.
I mean, the game plan, and it's not just Ben Johnson, who's been fabulous in the schematic advantage he's been giving you lately, but Dennis Allen is earning his keep as well as a DC. Like, his game plan for slowing down that Washington running game was fantastic.
Yeah, and there's still the positivity that I find too is they're winning games with but there's lots of room for growth. It's not like the Bears are going in and overachieving and finding and then winning games that way by playing above their heads. No. There was a part of that game through 3.5 quarters where I tweeted out that they're this close. They're so close, but every time there's like a meaningful play, they find a way to screw it up. Whether it was Zacchaeus dropping a football or it was a touchdown to Rome and then there was that silly penalty on Benedict that never should have been called, or just Brisker can't wrap up in the backfield, Jaden Daniels. They got pressure, but they couldn't. And there were so many times when you said, they're on the brink here. They're so close. They're doing some really good things, but they can't get over the hump. Well, they found a way in the end of these games to get over the hump, and I think that's why I'm super positive too, is they're far from playing their best football, and they're still finding ways to win a football game. And winning in Washington in a rainy day is not an easy thing to do.
No, especially when they're good at what you're not good at. The matchup did not favor them on a number of fronts. So you learn how to how do you learn to win? You win. Now this team believes in themselves. And as we've all said from day one, they are going to be a significantly better coach team this year than they have been in the past. And that's one thing that I'm very, very confident of every time they take the field is that there is going to be a good game plan. After running 12 personnel as high a percentage as anyone in the league, they came out, they ran 11 personnel and ran the ball down the throat of the Washington Commanders doing it.
It was so great to see. It was so great to see in this 2-minute drill, or like what they have it for the final 4 minutes, and they knew they could not give the football back. They knew they couldn't kick a field goal with 30 seconds left to give Jaden Daniels a chance with the ball late. And it was 3rd and long, and they ran that football to pick up that first down, and then you knew, okay, now we can wind it down to 3-4 seconds and kick the field goal. Like, I don't remember the last time that's happened where it's been a big 3rd down and there was some yards to go, and the line just out-physicaled the other line, and the running back ran with a full head of steam like DeAndre Swift ran, and it just all worked. It was magnificent to see.
They got the ball back with 3 minutes and 7 seconds left, and they never gave it back. So, look, the offensive line did a fantastic job. Hopefully DeAndre Swift is not going to be receiving the arrows from all of the critics, at least for a week. I didn't think their quarterback had his best stuff. I think he had a C performance, But when you can win, when your quarterback doesn't have his fastball and the heavy lifting is done by your offensive line in your running game and your defensive line in the run defense, that's complementary football.
Yeah, yeah. And then, like, there isn't the pressure where he has to feel like he does have to make the play.
Think about
like
how
you
much...
said, he had an average game going, but, like, he didn't feel down 8 that he would have to take the team on his shoulders and then force some things and trying to do too much. They played within themselves, and that's why it's just it was so joyous to finish off that game where we've been as a town with these football games after the fall of last year and 10 straight losses. I don't know where they're ultimately going this year, but I know they have themselves a fantastic head coach and coaching staff.
Well, and that's why, I've said that I feel as good about this team right now as I have in a very long time. That's a huge reason. It has nothing to do, solely with beating the Commanders 25-24 and finding a way to win. Yes, that's part of the learning process. But the thing that they've really struggled with, the things they've struggled with recently are running the football, which means it's putting a ton of pressure, not just on your quarterback, but for your offensive coordinator, play caller, head coach to create creative ways to score points without a running game. They have not been a balanced attack. And your front has gotten mauled. Like, only the Dolphins gave up more rushing yards per game than the Bears going into last night's game. And wouldn't you know that the Commanders were the leading rushing team in all of the National Football League? They won at the line of scrimmage last night. It's where I have been screaming, they've got to get better, they've got to get better. Last night they were better. Is their pass rush still good enough? No. I mean, they're not a perfect team. But Dennis Allen has found a way to try to scheme some pressure despite not having the hosses out there on a consistent basis. And I think that the head coach and game planner on offense has done some really creative stuff as well. And so look, they're 3-2. They got a long way to go. This isn't a finished product, but I would just say that the arrow's definitely pointing in the right direction for me for the reasons I mentioned.
The buzz last year, one of the buzz terms that we were talking about was coaching matters.
Yeah.
I remember it was after the Washington game when the defensive coordinator from Washington stood up, even though they won the game, and said, we screwed that up. As a defense, we screwed up. We're accountable. This is on us that we allowed the Bears to go down the field and score that touchdown and to put our offense in a position where they needed a Hail Mary to win. He was still mad in that. And remember, Caleb's dad lives in Washington. And so he retweeted that clip last year at around this time, coming off the bye, where the defensive coordinator stood up. And remember, Eberflus was the opposite after all that, where Eberflus said, nope, I would do it again. Nope, I'd allow those 14 yards again. Nope, this was fine. The Doug Kramer spot was fine where we gave him the football. And Caleb's dad retweeted the clip from the D.C. of Washington, and he wrote, coaching matters. And we all sort of took note. And this is why you and I and others wanted a Vrabel or a Ben Johnson, where we knew that not only those two would be great. You wanted, I put it 1 and 1A. You wanted Ben Johnson from the get-go because of the playbook. And everyone was wondering, hey, what would Ben be like? Accountability, guy in the front of the room, and he has passed every single test.
Yeah, and listen, I mean, along with the schematic advantage and a lot of the stuff that they are doing that is working, they have got a buy-in from their players. Darnell Wright's out there with a torn UCL in his right elbow and was arguably one of the best players on the field last night. You got Tremaine Edmonds and you get TJ Edwards back. Both of them, they combined for better than 20 tackles. The team tackled exceptionally well. They played a very disciplined approach to that's a hard offense to try and contain. You got to be really disciplined. You can't let Jaden Daniels get to the edge. They pinned him in. Most of his rushing yards came on scrambles. It was just, players playing hard, playing within, the confines of what they're asked to do, the coaches doing their homework, putting you in position to play. And you're going to make mistakes over the course of a 3-hour game, but at the end of the day, you got to find a way to make a play, and they did that last night.
This is Caleb Williams after the game, Bears fans. Some really high praise for their head coach, Ben Johnson.
Yeah, he is a mastermind. And so being able to have him, sometimes he's on the headset and it's like, this is a great play call right here. Here we go. And so he did that today and he says that to me. And so he has all belief and confidence in himself. And then, those little things actually provide confidence, when you're about to go call the play and, you line up and you're like, uh-oh. And then the play actually works. And so the belief and trust in him, the faith in him that he's dialing it up and he does every time.
I love that Ben says in the headset as he has a really good play, he'll say to Caleb in the headset, this is a really good one.
Yeah. I mean, listen, it has probably taken a lot to convince Caleb to leave his cape in the locker room and trust the offense and trust the people around him. Because everywhere he won a Heisman being Superman.
Yes.
Running around playing off script. That can't happen in the NFL because the players are too good. So you have to break yourself of some pretty bad habits that have been part of his repertoire now for many, many years. And to do that, you have to trust the system. You have to trust the coach. You have to trust the people around you, and you see that on display through 5
Well,
weeks.
think about the first exposure Caleb had to big-time football on the college level. His first game was the game where they benched Spencer Rattler against Texas when he was in Oklahoma. What were they down, like 31-7 in that game or something like that? He's a true freshman, and he goes in, like you were just saying, and all he's doing is playing backyard football, and he's winging it, and he brings them back, and he sees what happens when he does that, and he's like, I could control this as a true freshman by playing this way. And now, after the 3 years of being in college, yes, because no one was going to break him last year. There was no one qualified in this staff to break him of those habits. Now you can get a C game, a C-plus game from Caleb Williams and still find a way through other things to win a game.
To see how he handles himself in the pocket, I think the pressure rate from Washington, looking at the stats, was pretty high, but there was only 3 sacks. And one of them, he could have just thrown the ball out of bounds. And young quarterbacks are going to make that mistake. He took the sack instead of throwing the ball away. That's fine, whatever the case may be.
Yurko also said, was one of the sacks setting up for the field goal? Was
that probably was. I don't know if they considered that like just a rushing attempt. I don't know if they called it a sack. I don't know statistically.
That's what they said. So I don't know how many true sacks, if there were 2 or what.
Yeah, I mean, the point is that the totals are way down. And that tells me that, you're understanding what they're asking you to do, and you're not just ejecting the pocket for no reason, and you're just more comfortable back there. To me, the most important stats for a young quarterback as he's learning this game and at this level are completion percentage and sack totals. He was sacked 68 times last year, and how many of those sacks were on him? A lot of them. I believe, depending on, they list 3 sacks, and if that's the case, it's 10 sacks in 5 games. I mean, you're basically cutting the sacks by more than half, and a lot of that has to do, as many of them that were on him last year because of things he did wrong, the sack total comes down not just because the offensive line is better, but because his feel in the pocket is much better.
And the coaching is better.
No doubt.
The coaching matters. Here's Caleb Moore on playing for Ben Johnson and how the team feels.
Yeah, I'm excited every single day that I get to wake up and be coached by him. And I know the other guys are also. I think we believe in him. We trust him. We trust our other coaches. And I think that's going to continue to keep growing. The belief in him is there. And we want to win for him. And we obviously want to win for us and the Chicago Bears.
And, I know a lot of Bears fans have talked themselves into believing in other guys in the past, whether it was Justin, so many Justin fans because of the splash plays. I believe in Justin, and I believe in this. I really feel great where we know we have a true belief. I think all of us, for the most part, most of Bears fans, believe that they've got the coaching right. They finally, after all these years, making the wrong choice, that they finally got the right guy to coach a football team.
Yeah, and he put together a staff that is impressive as well. Like I said, Dennis Allen deserves a ton of credit. Now, I've credited Ben Johnson for adjustments that he's made. He came out of the bye with a really good game plan to run the football, something they hadn't done. And they talked about it going into the bye. And you wonder, really, how much improvement can be made by just practicing for an extra week? What you saw was a group of 5 on the field up front that were all working in connection with one another. It was almost like a symphony up there last night.
Finally,
Before, it was like a one-man band, 5 one-man bands. And last night, and to me, that's trying to get on the same page in the bye week. And then defensively, how the hell are we going to stop a team that rushes it for 6 yards a carry? Well, you played like 9 guys at the line of scrimmage in a lot of ways. You bounced Shamar Turner to the outside. You used 3 linebackers a vast majority of the time. Like, the game plan from Dennis Allen was beneficial for what they were trying to accomplish. And he's had to be very, very fluid with what he's asking his guys to do because you have faced different problems as time has gone on.
Yeah, and going back to your offensive line thing, Darnell Wright, and you mentioned him already, playing with that injury, that was as aggressive of a player that we've seen in a long time at right tackle from him, where that's the player that we've all been hoping for game in and game out, and he did it after an injury, whether it was the bye, whether it was making adjustments after sitting this last game, whether it was the threat of Ozzie Trapillo. Like, I don't know, hey, don't look. We got a kid who was drafted in the 2nd round right behind you, and it played very well, and they limited the Raiders in the second half of that game. So whatever happened, it seemed to be a more motivated Darnell Wright.
Yeah, I mean, the guy's got an infinite amount of talent. Whatever motivates you, but the kid was motivated last night. The other thing I'll say, too, is where you see the influence of the coaching staff, particularly the head coach. That group of wide receivers, I believe, was taken to task early in the season with their lack of willingness to be good blockers downfield. That has improved dramatically.
Well, Ben called them out before. Remember, that you mentioned people are going to have to find someone else, or at least to lay off of DeAndre Swift. 2 weeks ago, going into the bye, and we have that at 3:30, when Ben Johnson said, the least of our rushing problems is DeAndre Swift, our guys have to be engaged when it comes to blocking for your buddies.
And the way that I'll give Darnell Wright credit, not just for playing well, but playing hurt. I'll say the same thing about DJ Moore, who obviously was injured, spent the night in a hospital in Washington last night, but to the very last whistle was down there helping out in the running game at the second level. It's the reason why you saw several runs that were in excess of 8, 10, 12 yards. It's because when you get to that second level, it's imperative that your wide receivers are engaged in trying to get a helmet on a helmet, and you've seen that. I thought last night was the best I've seen these wide receivers block. I think you've seen some progress over the course of time. Got a little bit better against the Cowboys, and then improved a little bit against the Raiders in the win. Last night was by far their best night of helping out in the running game.
Philip in Cedar Lake, you're on ESPN 1000. What's up, Philip?
Hey, Silvy, long time no hear. Hey, last time I called in was May 29th. That was the day you were preaching Ben Johnson as being the one, as the guy. And I called in giving you grief, and I even put you in the corner for a timeout.
Wow.
Well, after seeing all this for the last few weeks and seeing how everybody's playing, and I'm thinking he just might be the one. Finally.
There you go. Jump aboard, Phil. Look, and I get it. I know that you and other Bears fans have been skeptical. Like, we even thought we had a coach after the first year of Matt Nagy. He goes 12-4. We think we got the one, and boom, he fires himself twice as offensive coordinator in his last few years as Bears head coach. We're skeptical because we haven't seen it in a while. This guy, I just think, Philip, is different. He knows football. He's got the it factor behind the scenes with the accountability and the demands. And the playbook is just, he puts them in the best positions to win.
You know, last night, me and my buddies, we were all in a text chain. My buddy, he's across the street right now, and he's listening. And we were like, here we go again. We blew another lead. They're going to just, we all know. But it's just, they persevered, and it actually feels like they want to win now.
Yeah, Phil, good call. Thank you. I appreciate you calling back, too. That was good. I got a little credit there. How about it?
Look at you.
Not going to get that from Yurko today.
No, I think that horse left the barn.
Oh, we'll play that.
I'm not sure the horse was ever in the barn.
No. Brennan in Nashville, you're on ESPN 1000. What's up, Brennan?
What's up, guys? That is why you go and hire a coach like Ben Johnson. I mean, Matt Eberflus loses that game 10 times out of 10. We saw it last year. Ben Johnson wins us that game. We have a great scheme on offense to figure out how to get this. I mean, 7.7 yards a carry for DeAndre Swift is incredible. Just a great game, really exciting moving forward. And I'm with you on that, Waddle. I haven't felt this way probably since 2018, really early Nagy days. So
yeah, and listen,
good,
I mean,
on a Victory Tuesday.
I wouldn't get off of my 9-win projection. I wouldn't. I mean, can they be better than that? Of course they can. There's still a lot of work to do. There will be mistakes. I mean, that's going to be part of the process. But you spend $13 million for a reason.
They're gonna lose a game that we don't anticipate them to lose.
Look, yeah, I mean, they're not a finished product. Are they going to run for? Is DeAndre Swift going to average 7.7 yards per carry from here to the end of the regular season? No, you'll ebb and you'll flow. I just think that your floor will begin to rise. I think is what how I would describe it. Your ceiling will, hopefully rise as well. But I don't think you're going to lose the games as frequently that you're supposed to win as we've seen over the course of the last several years. Again, this is a funky game, and the NFL is up for grabs week by week. You're not always going to be on point with everything. But I think the floor is going to rise on so many fronts. And I think that's what coaching is all about. Their job is to put you in position to take advantage of what you do well and take advantage of the weaknesses of the team that you're facing. And I think on a week-to-week basis, they do a pretty damn good job of getting their team prepared to play, whether or not it is they're overmatched in certain areas. Again, I picked Washington last night because I didn't like the matchup.
With the run game, stopping the run.
Right, at the line of scrimmage,
the ball,
a short history has shown you that the Commanders have been better at the point of attack on both sides of the ball. Last night, the Bears won at the line of scrimmage on both sides of the football, and it led to them being able to kick a last-second field goal and win the game.
Feels good to win an under bet, too, where the over-under was 50, where I got in, and the end of the game, it's 49. Like, I thought midway through the fourth quarter, I thought at halftime, this is money in the bank. Then by mid-fourth quarter, I'm like, I lost this bet now. They're going to go way over 50 the way this thing is going. And then the Bears were able to hold. They got the turnover that they needed. You take advantage of breaks. It's what Washington did all last year. I don't want to hear people say, well, they got breaks. That's how the Bears lost last year in this same game.
By the way, not only have they taken the ball away 11 times in the last 3 games, they've only turned it over once. They are plus 10 in the turnover ratio in this 3-game win streak.
Yeah.
Like that.
You're going to win games that way.
No question. And it's not just taking the ball away, which they've been very good at, but it's also protecting the football. That's why you're a plus 10 during this 3-game win streak.
It's no surprise. I heard Carmen say this, that the 2 teams who have the most takeaways in the NFL are Jacksonville and the Bears. Those are 2 of the biggest surprises in the league so far. So ring it up for us, 312-332-3776. What'd you think while watching that game, Bears fans? Did you think when they fell behind by 8 that it was over? How impressed are you right now? Neither Waddle nor I are predicting them to go to a Super Bowl. Well, but we feel now with this coaching staff and the quarterback and some of the guys they have, they're not perfect, that they're on the way to at least being in a playoff picture. Will they get in? I don't know, but I think in these next 4 games are going to be very, very interesting.
I'll ride with a team that can run the football the way they ran it last night.
And then we'll carry Ben Johnson at 4. Ben Johnson, in his conversation with Joniak, also took a swipe at the Monday Night Football crew. I'll play you that coming back. And then what'd you think of the officiating? Whether the Troy Aikman stuff, that carried a lot of weight. I want to find out why you just did that in a little bit. And the Bears get a win with Wallner, brought to you by Wallner Law. Wallner Law handles the toughest car accident cases in Chicago. Call 312-8-million. Wallner Law, win with Wallner. So if you want to talk to us, call us right now. You can get in there. A few open phone lines here, and we'll get to the entire Victory Tuesday show. It feels good. The Bears have won 3 in a row, and this is your home.